Good evening and welcome to today's episode of the Dr. Marquita Blades Show, Candid Conversations that Create Change. I am Dr. Blades, and as you can see, I have a full panel today in-house, as well as a guest joining us via Zoom from Maryland. So I'm going to introduce our guests, and we will get started with today's episode. First, we have Cortland Jones, who is joining us off-site. Cortland Jones is an author, speaker, coach, grant writer, and visionary using words, actions, and his passion for teaching to reach people of all ages and with messages of empowerment, entrepreneurship, and self-actualization. Cortland is the author of Out of the Darkness, A Journey into the Marvelous Light, an enlightening book that explores God's plan, purpose, and the lifestyle experience when one walks by faith. He is currently writing his second book, a 31-day devotional for teachers. Welcome, Cortland.
Hello, Dr. Marquita. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Thank you for joining me today. I know that you did some media earlier this morning, so I know you're making your rounds today.
Yeah, I'm trying to maintain. It feels really good just to have the opportunity to be able to share my story and share words of encouragement with others.
Well, I appreciate it. So Cortland and I met in July at the Black Educators Rock Conference, and we just immediately connected just because of the type of environment that conference offered to us and all of the other educators, and I was excited to have him join and talk about his work. So Cortland, why don't you start by telling us about your background in the education field?
Sure. 26 years in Prince George's County Public Schools as an art teacher, also graphic design. I spent 10 years outside the classroom working with youth, peer mediation, conflict resolution. I've also done classroom management presentations for educators for the public school system for over 13 years. Right now, I'm currently working with youth to publish a children's book, hopefully by the end of this year. So my focus now has kind of moved forward to just talking with youth about how they can use their skills, their abilities now and not wait till they become adults, how they can be positive contributors to themselves, home, school, and community.
All right, thank you, Cortland. We're going to come back to you with some questions about your blog and your book. I want to take a moment now to introduce my in-studio guest. First, I have Miss Valencia F. Thornton. She's a math consultant and has been leading students to success in math for over 30 years. She has been nominated for Who's Who among middle school teachers. She has taught underachievers and discovered ways to stimulate and motivate them into loving math. Valencia is known for her enthusiasm and energy in the classroom, as well as in professional development seminars. She strongly believes that students can be motivated to learn. Currently, she is a professional development consultant for math teachers. She has worked in various school districts to assist teachers on how to reach students who have challenges in math. And she has also worked in Title I schools for over 19 years. So welcome, Ms. Thornton.
Thank you, Dr. Blade. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you being here. We met, I guess, about a year ago?
Yes.
At an entrepreneurship conference where we both were just learning some skills to take our businesses to the next level. So I'm glad that you were able to join me today, and I'm excited about what you're going to share with the audience. Next, we have Mr. Gregory Reid. Mr. Reid is a graduate of Fort Valley State University and Troy University in Troy, Alabama. He is the owner and CEO of All Star International Group, LLC, which specializes in insurance, income tax prep, and financial education. Gregory is very passionate about his clients, therefore customer service is his #1 priority. In his free time, he loves cooking and grilling for his friends and family. He is also an active member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and because I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho, now I expect to get one of these cookout invitations.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here, Greg.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And my final panelist is Mr. Terrance Small. He works with Financial Education Services. He's been an entrepreneur for over 30 years and is very passionate about his work, which is educating people on how to improve their finances. He enjoys helping people get their credit in order. Products that he offers and services include credit restoration, business funding, will, trust, and power of attorney arrangement, travel, all sorts of things that can just improve your lifestyle overall. So Terrance and Greg are going to be sharing our special segment today on credit, and you guys are going to be surprised at how credit, which seemingly is not related to what Cortland and Valencia do, but you're going to be surprised at the many overlaps and what they have to offer. So I'm excited, Terrance, to also have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Excited as well.
Okay, well, let's get on in here. Jump right in. Cortland, your blog, The Grace to Teach, caught the attention of Altamise Thompson from Black Educators Rock, and I understand that that got you invited to the conference.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what that conference experience was like for you?
Amazing. I would say overall, I was just really taken aback by the number of people that I met and the experiences that I had. Overwhelmingly inspiring to be able to be in the company of other Black educators from the perspective of someone who is now seeking to be an entrepreneur, who is currently 4 years into the journey, to see other people such as yourself when I met you there to talk with you, to see so many people who are not only thriving as educators, but now also thriving as entrepreneurs. It really fueled my passion for what I'm trying to do now, because I'm 4 years away from retiring. So even conversations about how to better manage your income in preparation for retirement. I have 2 teenagers who are getting ready to go off to college. So they're very timely to meet the people that I'm meeting and have the conversations and exposure that I'm having.
Lately, Cortland, I've been saying to everyone that I meet that it seems as if we're operating in a season of divine connections. So for you to just even make mention of preparing for your retirement and me having 2 financial education experts on the panel today could be nothing but divine.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I just feel like there's this push now behind me where for a long time there was this work. Anybody who knows anything about being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of work involved, but eventually that momentum kind of takes over for you. And the doors that it opens, the people that you get exposed to, it really becomes motivating to help you keep up with that push to keep going in that journey.
So Cortland, it seems like teacher self-care is becoming a term that we're hearing more and more often, because we know that teachers are sometimes displeased with their working conditions, and that's leading to a lot of burnout. And so you do some work in the arena of teacher self-care, but can you explain to those who may not be familiar, what exactly does that entail?
To me, teacher self-care really has to do with maintaining both your personal as well as your professional development. On the professional side, what am I doing to ensure that I am applying the best practices as it relates to whatever I'm teaching as far as curriculum? Am I up to date? Am I also being mindful of my classroom management and how I'm dealing with the youth? What I've learned to share with educators is I got to learn how to plan for misconduct like I plan my lessons. And what that does is it just helps me to be better prepared mentally and emotionally for the challenges that occur. But then also, what am I doing outside of my field as an educator just to make sure I'm doing okay? Mm-hmm. I believe as teachers, because we love what we do and because we love kids, we give ourselves fully, wholly to what we do, sometimes to the detriment of ourselves. So self-care to me is about making sure I'm taking care of myself personally, but also my practice
professionally,
so I can endure the journey of being an educator.
Thank you.
And not just do well, but thrive.
Yes, thank you for that. Now, Gregory, you're a former teacher as well. Tell us, first of all, about your background in education, and then how did you kind of transition out of the field?
Well, I started off in the business. I came from corporate, and I went to education, taught 17 years in education, 17 years, and I just opened my own business. Entrepreneurship, I've always had my own business, and I just hey, it was time. Mm-hmm. It was time, and I just been an entrepreneur for all my life. But just last 10 years, just flowing as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so your business, and it's still education because you are teaching people how to manage their finances. And I want to hear from both you and Terrance on this one. What are the basics of credit education for someone just to have a good general understanding of how credit works?
Well, the first thing I tell people is credit is made up of 5 components.
Credit education for someone just to have a good general understanding of how credit works.
It's for number 1, types of credit, which is 10%.
Okay.
New credit, 10%. Length of credit, 15%. Debt to ratio, or amount of credit used, is 30%.
Okay.
And payment history is 35%. That's 100%.
Okay.
And what we do, and me and Terrance we work together a lot with a lot of people. We show you, hey, your score, just getting these items off your credit won't send your credit through the roof. It'll help. That's 35% of it. But you need new credit. So I could tell you can go get a new credit card right now and swipe it. Your credit score is going up. It's new credit. So your debt to ratio, keep your cards below 30%. So we just explain and teach them that. And once you learn how to complete the whole puzzle, your score is solid. It's solid.
See, a lot of people look at credit as taboo.
Yes.
And it's not. Because my perfect example of displaying how someone can use their credit, I asked them to take out their debit card and I asked them to take out a credit card. Then I asked them, what's the difference? And they was like, they're both cards. I said, exactly. One, you use and swipe and your money comes directly out of your account. The other, you use and swipe, and of course, that's a line of credit being extended to you. But that is the one that can help you in the long run because it can help establish and build credible history. And then also these credit card companies nowadays, they provide rewards, points, and things like that that you can benefit from. So all you have to do when it comes to that is not it being taboo, you have to be a little bit more disciplined. And then knowing that, okay, if I swipe this week, I leave my money in the bank and at the end of the week, I'm gonna take care of that bill. And they can establish credit history over a long period of time. And one more thing, a lot of people look at, okay, I have a house and I have a car. That should be good enough. Creditors don't look at it like that. House and cars are necessities. They want to see how you can handle your credit, something that you don't need, that you don't have to have. They want to see how you can handle revolving credit. So, you know, you have to learn how to balance it all and have like a balanced portfolio. And that's where we come into play. We help them to get their portfolio in order so they can maximize their credit score.
So for teachers specifically, and we talked about teacher self-care and Cortland related to it's not just what they do in the classroom, but the other side of their life and how they manage that. We know that a lot of teachers are frustrated, especially with the income point. So what are some ways that teachers can maximize their credit to improve their lifestyle? Because we know the salary is not going to jump dramatically anytime soon.
Basically, to piggyback off of what I said, being more educated on how to use credit, because being able to use their credit will get them to the point where they get to use our reward points, get to use the cash back, because you're going to have to spend anyway. You know, you have to eat, you have to buy gas, excuse me, buy gas and things like that. So, you know, being smart in how to utilize your credit, it allows you to save money. See, that's the point of having great credit, is to have that low interest rate. You know, have that great credit score so that you can save money in the long run, because you might not make what you want to make, but if you learn how to save those additional funds, then you can apply it to anything else that you may want to.
Yes.
Okay. Terrance mentioned house and car. Those are our biggest two what? That's our biggest what?
Liabilities. Okay.
Responsibility. House. In 1999, this is me. I bought my house, 7.25% interest rate, which is good. 2000 was good. Over the course of the years, paid the 7.25% interest rate. Well, eventually I refinanced to a 3.87. My mortgage went down $410. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
If you just take it 400 times 12 is 4,800. Most mortgages are 30 years. Well, what's 4,800 times 30?
Listen, he going too fast for me, y'all.
Right. But you see, they want to save money.
Yes.
Cars. Same thing. You walk in and buy a car. I bought a new car, and I told my banker I wasn't taking that interest rate because of the 700 credit score plus credit score. I'm like, no, I can get it better. And and banks, loan officers, they understand that, hey, if I don't, somebody will.
Yes.
So I got a great interest rate. So now I'm saving, like you said, I'm saving money.
Saving money.
I can recycle that money back into whatever I want to, where I want to. I can save it. It's just a lot of savings in the interest rates.
And so we can essentially have more with less.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
If we're working our credit properly.
Absolutely.
Gregory, you also gave me that mortgage example you talked about, but you compounded the numbers a little bit higher than that when we were in the parking lot having a conversation prior to the show. So for those teachers who are saying, I'm stuck in this mortgage and my credit is bad now, so I would love to refi and save money, as you're suggesting, where do I start to start to get my credit on track again?
Well, like,
what are some quick things?
Consult someone that does it. Get an understanding. That's the key. Once you get an understanding, you'll know what steps to take. And the example I gave you in the parking lot is on a house that may cost more than mine. If you can refi and save $600 a month or $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Now, 6,000 times 30 is $180,000 you saved over the course of that mortgage. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And a lot of
apply
savings.
to savings or retirement.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Marquita, when you say where they start, I used to be back then, but now I'm here. Back then, we were just scared. We didn't know where to start. And I think that over the years, that things are now more transparent. People are walking into the banks knowing their credit score.
Right.
You know, a long time ago, we didn't know our credit score.
But we run into a lot of people who don't know their credit score. And when I ask them why, they tell me we're afraid to look.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm afraid to look.
I'm scared, yes.
And the next thing, I want to say this to everybody. Do not be embarrassed to do better.
Yes.
Not at all.
The embarrassment, people like, Greg, I am ashamed to say it. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you.
Right.
And that's what we'll do. But don't be afraid or embarrassed to get help. Because it's going to help you.
Have to start somewhere, yes.
You have to start somewhere.
Yes.
And it's not taboo. Trust me.
It's not
I
taboo.
tell people all the time, credit is a game. You just got to know how to play it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. Because it can get you to where you need to be in life.
Yeah.
Because now having that great credit score, you can dictate your interest rates. You can dictate the type of car you want to buy. Your money goes a lot further with a greater credit score. So that car that you want, you can get the fully loaded car, paying the same price as someone that has bad credit that would have got the car with bad essentials in it.
Yes.
So you have to get smart and learn how to utilize your credit. And not only will it help you, but once you do, you know, most people, they start talking more when they know something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when you educate yourself, you're going to spread the word, because a lot of us, we didn't have the opportunity of growing, because our parents didn't know about credit. All they knew is you pay your bills, pay it with cash, and don't touch credit.
Yes.
So that has to change. That has to change. So educate yourself, and it's gonna flow into your family, your friends, just your associates. So you'll have more people in your circle aware of credit and how to use it.
One more thing, Dr. Blades. Everybody, every teacher has to have auto insurance.
Right.
Of course, I'm an insurance agent. I can give you a quote, and I would tell my people, if your score is lower than 599, this rate is going to change. Your credit score dictates your insurance rate.
Yes,
Wow.
it does.
Okay, so y'all, we have a comment from viewer Aisha Famble. Thank you for watching, Aisha, and thank you for interacting. She says, well, why isn't this taught in school rather than having to figure out when you get older? That is the $1 million question. Aisha, if I had to answer that question, I wouldn't need a credit score. But no, why do we keep this information from younger people?
We just had a conference. We was just at we presented to the Black Caucus.
Yes.
And that's the first thing I said. I was asking people why. And they didn't know why. I said it's not formal education doesn't teach us this.
That's right.
It teaches us to what? Go to high school, graduate.
And get a good job.
Go to college, graduate.
Yes.
Work 30 years and retire and get a watch.
Yes,
And get a watch.
Not a watch and a toaster,
pen,
right? It used to be a
whatever.
toaster.
But that's it. They didn't teach us that. But then that's wrong. If I'd have known what I know now, man, there's no the sky's the limit.
But don't you think that, okay, like my mom, she's 89 now. I mean, her credit score is sometimes I have to ride her back on her credit score. Yes.
Yes.
0% interest card. Let me hold that a minute. You know.
Absolutely.
But long time ago, that was not their system. Long time ago, my grandmother's system was, "Hey, Miss Luckett, what do you need today? Oh, I like to pick out that bedroom suit. Okay, just get the ticket and bring it up. That's it. That was the system.
That was
Because
the
they
system.
saved their money.
Well, no, the system was I trust you enough.
It was a trust system.
I trust
Yeah,
you enough.
okay,
I know
okay.
you're gonna come in and make that payment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now there's a numbers game, and you know, you walk into a bank now, you have to have the score.
Absolutely.
Now, Valencia, you talking something real because I don't know, my mom might get mad. I hate to put it out there.
Yeah.
But no, this is a testimony to how far we have come.
Yes.
There were even grocery stores that would let you come in and get
get
your
things
groceries
on
until
yeah.
you got paid.
Right,
You're right.
right,
We did
right.
go off of a
It was
different system back
And
then.
this system now, and it's not a bad system, but it's a system that people don't believe that can really trip you up until it does that.
Right.
Okay, so, and that's why the education is so
I
important.
was just about to say.
Yeah, don't let it just trip you up because it will cause you heartache and pain at the end. Now, but for me, what I did, I started saying, no credit, no debt. No credit, no debt. So I started working my credit score better because I couldn't get anything at that time. So I was trying to use it in my advantage. It was just a mental game that I was playing with myself. But I said every time they denied me, that means that I was never going to be a part of their trap because maybe I wasn't ready.
Right. Terrance mentioned discipline though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said maybe I wasn't ready.
Everything I purchase is on a credit card.
Okay.
I'm going to spend the money, give it anyway. I send
Yeah.
it back at the end of the month.
But the
paid in
discipline
full.
part is important.
That's
because
very important.
Very important.
Yes.
My sister, she does, she's actually helping everybody in the family. And one thing that she brought my awareness to was no fees. And you should see me saying, oh my God, I got a fee. You know, I have not bounced a check. I haven't done anything because I don't do $35 anymore.
Exactly.
No way.
But see, that's-
because
that's being smart
she's
about
made
it.
me aware, no fees. And so we're on it now. You know?
See, most people, they use their credit cards to replace their money.
Yes, and that's
You're
not
supposed to use it in place of your
Yes,
money, not to
exactly.
replace it.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Did y'all
Powerful.
catch that?
It's very
Yep.
powerful.
But again, the system. We ride through the neighborhood, we're not making enough. So because we're not making enough, we're just surviving. Once I get short, I think this is an easy swipe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so since it's an easy swipe, I'm trying to supplement my salary with a card.
Right.
And that's dangerous.
That
Very
is
dangerous.
dangerous. I'm gonna tell you what else is dangerous is when Greg started throwing out those numbers. They were coming so fast, I didn't know what to do. I almost left my own set. So that brings me to you, math teacher.
The math teacher. The math lady.
The math lady, math consultant. You specialize in helping students to become excited
Yes.
about math. So tell us about your background as a math educator.
Okay, so I have been in education for over 30 years, but year 19, I decided to leave my job. I left teaching completely. Just as, what's his name on Zoom?
Cortland.
As Cortland says, you know, we all want to be entrepreneurs, and I decided, well, if it worked in the classroom, it could work outside, you know, it could work other places. So I became a math consultant, and I was getting real good success inside the classroom. So I decided to take that same endeavor and start selling my services to different schools and school districts, and so that's where I am now. And so, well, you going to the topic, MSDM, but.
Oh, you know what? Look at her. Guest co-host is what I should have come.
Yes.
So yeah, the M in STEM. When we think about STEM, because I'm also a STEM educator, I do science, but it seems like a lot of times when we talk about STEM, we stop at the technology.
Yes.
We don't make it to the engineering part. We definitely don't make it to the math part. The focus is highly placed on the science and the technology. So tell us how you keep the M in STEM.
Well, just math period. I'm just looking at math and everything, and we have this workshop that I'm designing now says don't ignore the M in STEM, because as we want as we want engineers, as we want technologists and scientists, they all have to pass through the math. And guess what? We have a shortage of teachers right now to teach math. Why? not so much that it's a shortage. I think it's a correlation between shortage of teachers and the people who don't like math.
Yes.
So how are we going to say still when we don't have enough students who are going into math? We have to pass the math class, and no one ever says you have to pass the engineering course to get through high school, but you have to pass the math courses to get through high school. No one ever says, well, we do have to pass science, but not like the math. So we don't want to ignore the M in STEM, because the math is going to be our gateway to the other subjects. And that's from students that are in elementary, middle, high, as well as our adults. We're trying to get the phobia off the adults, who are saying, I hate math.
Or I don't want to look at my credit because I don't understand these interest rates, and
yes.
I don't know why I'm paying extra.
Right.
So it spills over into every area of life.
And I haven't had a credit card. Go back to credit cards, and as a math person, it just dawned on me that I was paying $43 a month on a card that I never swiped, because I'm paying $43 interest, and I multiplied that times 12. Then I looked there and said, my God, there's $500 going on that card, and I don't even use it. Mom, I need that 0% card, please.
And percentages is one of those topics in math that I know people avoid often.
Right.
But it's so practical. We
It's
need that
very
for daily
practical.
life.
Yes.
Now, I want to touch on one thing, because you said, Mom, I need that 0% interest. Now, a lot of people are aware of this, but then a lot of people are not aware of this. Do you know that you can have your mom add you to her card? You won't receive the card, but you'll get to pick up her credit history. It's called piggybacking.
Well,
Teach,
okay,
Terrance.
so let me say this. I've been fair. I thought about it, but I didn't want her to come down.
She won't.
No, you don't affect her at all.
Okay.
She helps you.
And
that will give your credit score a boost.
I will certainly give that over to my sister. She is our credit. I mean, when I say she's our analyst, she's like, hey, I see you got this and you shouldn't have gotten that. Was that a need or a want? She's like on us.
That's good.
So we all are sitting. I mean, my daughter and her just got in this big heated thing because they're like, she's like, was that a want or a need? And people don't like to hear.
She's holding you accountable.
She is. When I say hold us accountable, we're like, if you just go on a little bit.
No, you bet. You
No,
better
that's
keep
a good
her.
thing.
We got to take her.
That's a good thing. You need it.
So we just received, thank you, Sheila Thompson. Yes, this is great information. And this goes back to the point that Aisha made earlier, like, why don't they teach us this in school? So this is something that we can easily transfer to our children, our nieces, our nephews, adding them on to those positive accounts, letting them piggyback so that their scores can be strong and they're not the ones using the credit. Correct, Terrance?
Right.
Exactly. But when you do it with your kids, because I did it with mine, give them the card, and then you have an understanding, because now they're swiping the cards, they're understanding. Like my kids, they'll call me before, and I ask, do you know what the balance is? Do you know what's going to happen when you swipe it? And can you afford to pay that back?
Right.
So once they start utilizing those cards, they understand it. It's not new to them, because the biggest trick in the book is when you go to college.
Oh, goodness.
And what happens?
They give us-
Everybody's extending
They're on
credit.
the,
But
they're on the
they stop
yard
that.
every day, right?
They stop
You
that.
sign up for those credit
No,
cards.
they may have stopped at the college, but they're not stopping it online. They know when you're in college, because my daughter, they get credit card applications pre-approved because you're in college.
Several of
As soon as
those
you
come to our
register.
house for my stepdaughter as well. You're absolutely right.
Exactly. So,
Dr.
I mean,
Blades,
Yes, sir.
I wanted to add one thing listening to the conversation. When I bought my MacBook Air, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Best Buy will show you what will happen if you just pay the regular monthly amount and how much more you will pay by doing that. And I showed that to my kids to help them to understand this is why you don't want to just pay what they suggest.
Well, that's a law.
No, I was
Isn't
about
it
to
a
say,
law?
yes,
It's a law now that they have to bring that, thanks to the Obama administration, they had to actually put that in writing to show people what would happen. So, of course, even if people are not looking at it, those who are aware would be looking like, oh, I have to pay this 7 years.
But I don't think everybody's showing that, though. It may be
Everybody-
a
Yeah,
law,
it's
but
on the
everybody's
state.
not.
It's
It's on
the
their
state.
Okay.
When I say it's a law, I've been doing my research.
Girl, you've been on it.
I love it. Oh, and another thing I didn't know too, those 0% interest, they can't charge They have to, well, what is it? They can't charge over 24% the first year? Yep, I saw that too. Yeah, that's why we're getting all these 0% interest, and then after that first year, then it jumps up to the 24%.
Okay. Yeah, most companies, they're doing that. Well, they give you a certain period of time,
Yes.
18 months or
Right,
either
right.
22 months.
12 months interest free.
But
Yes.
what we have been doing in our space, with my sisters being our accountability partner, if there's a situation just like that, I was like, hey, I notice I'm spending $43 in interest a month. I gotta get from out of this. She has several 0%, so she'll move that on there, and then she will fight hard to make us get that money off of there within that 18 months. Like,
Exactly.
deadline is coming up. Look, we're not doing monthly payments, you know. So she's an excellent person. So we're looking for her to start her business and that.
But see, that goes back to teachers not making enough income.
Right.
If you get smart with your credit,
Right.
now you're not paying that extra fee. You're not
Right,
paying those interest
exactly.
fees. You're really using the same as
Yes,
cash.
yes.
So if you like I said, that's another way to save money, but still get what you need.
Yes. Oh, I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm a math consultant.
Okay.
Okay, she
The
listen.
money's being made.
Excuse me.
The daily rate is sweet. Yes.
I know that's right.
So we have a comment from Jessica Thornton Fields. Is that?
Yeah,
That's from
okay.
Jessica. Okay.
Hi, Jessica.
Thank you for watching, Jessica. She's commenting that seniors do have to take economics in high school. And one of her projects before graduating was to decide what college she wanted to go to, how much it would cost, and whether or not she'd be able to pay back her student loans. But her credit was ruined at 18 years old with a $100 credit card from Macy's. So maybe the curriculum should have included some of this information as opposed to the student loan information and that path. But I don't think it's a coincidence that certain information is shared and other information is not shared, unfortunately. So, Cortland, as we have this discussion about credit and self-care and all these other things, tell us about your new book that's going to be coming out, the Devotional for Teachers, and how maybe some of the tips that you offer can help teachers gain some of the discipline that Terrance is talking about.
So Apples for Grace 31-day inspiration for teachers has to do with gaining compassion, passion, and knowledge. So a lot of what's being talked about now has to do with the knowledge piece. Just from the classroom perspective, having compassion for the kids, having passion for what I do as the educator, and as well as knowledge, but not just knowledge of content, but how do I translate that knowledge so that children can be inspired in what they're learning while they're in my room? And also knowledge of the students in a way where I work with them that motivates them to want to participate. When you translate that to knowledge outside of my role as an educator to my personal life, how do I make sure I'm being empowered to live my best life to the fullest by asking for help? The way I could project this information in today's conversation, I was just at Ocean City with my son, and we were talking about how much it costs to rent a room for one night, what would be, the best price for one night. But then also, let's look at how we're going to manage our money as we get older as an adult. And these are the reasons why I'm now sacrificing in certain areas when you talk about managing your money, so I can do things as it relates to being an entrepreneur. And so teaching my son now through conversation, best decision-making knowledge as it relates to how you're going to manage your money now. My daughter works and has a car. And so this is a good time just listening to this conversation about how I can apply that to talking to my kids. And then how can that information as a teacher be applied to my life personally, so I can make sure close to retirement, I'm benefiting moving forward financially.
Cortland, I think a lot of times as educators, we are discouraged from any types of conversations around money because the premise is, obviously, we don't go into education to become rich, not from the teacher role itself. And so it almost becomes a thing of where you're not allowed to want more money, you're not allowed to complain about your financial condition because people equate that to you not caring about the kids. So I think it's important with what you're doing as we build ourselves up as people. We'll know that it is okay to be financially fit.
Absolutely.
It's okay to want to secure the bag, as the young folks say.
Well, one thing I'll say, so I made the decision in 2003. I just asked myself a question: what would I do if I were no longer an educator?
Right.
As it relates to starting my own business. And I looked at my ability to work with kids, and I looked at the fact that I spent 10 years working in summer camps from the age 14 to 24. So like I tell my son, I don't know what it's like to be at home during the summer, because I worked when I was a teenager. And so passing on those skills of hard work ethic, learning how to manage your money from a young age, and then asking those questions on how you can use any skills that you have or interests that you have and then monetize it. The big thing I'll say from what I'm hearing and what you're sharing as well, being willing to ask for help.
Yes.
I would say that is the biggest thing I'm taking away from this, because I shared with my son over the weekend. Here I am, 50 years old, 4 years away from retirement. I'm still asking for help. As an entrepreneur, I don't know all the things that need to be done and how to succeed. And so don't think that you can't ask for help even at your age, because by pursuing these interests that I have and then looking at people who were doing what I was doing and then saying, hey, you're doing well at what you're doing, mind if I pick your brain for a moment?
Yes.
So I'm trying to teach them now while they're young. Learn how to be okay with asking for help, because that's how it opens doors for you to be able to do other things and give you information that could help maybe, avoid some mistakes that we may make, or at least you learn how to recover from them quicker because you're open to asking for help.
And well, in our space, when I'm saying the accountability partner, we are now training the family members, open up your mouth and ask. Don't sit there and let a train wreck hit you and then say, oh, I need X amount of dollars. If you know that the trouble is striking, call someone or call our accountability partner and say, hey, I look like I'm about to hit a crash, and can you help us? So that's what we're saying. Or don't sit there and wait, because the time is just going to hit. So we're asking them, let us know if you need help. I envision one day that the business will be our business will take off so well until we can have our own bank for our own family members. In other words, if they need $1,000, they'll be able to just call my sister and she'll lend them $1,000 on, putting a small amount of interest on it. And the way they pay the pot back is when they will get another loan. So I'm seeing that very, very clear.
See, we like to say, be a master asker.
Master
asker.
Gotta
write that down.
Because think about it, success leaves clues.
Yes.
And if you're not a master asker of someone that's successful, you're not going to pick up that clue.
Yes.
So, open mouth does not get fed.
Open mouth
does not get fed.
Closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Closed mouth. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
That's okay.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
Sure.
So this is how relevant this topic is to me personally. On my way to the Black Educators Conference in July, the very first thought I had on my way out the door was, man, what if something happens to me? I don't have any paperwork in order, because I was driving all the way down to Florida and I knew I'd be driving back. And the thought came to my mind, I need to get my paperwork in order for the sake of my children.
Yes.
And so that's how relevant this conversation is to me. Because I'm so close to retirement, I am thinking about the financial future of my children as far as the inheritance I will leave them, and making sure that I am thinking about those things, and not just thinking about it, but acting on it, being a master asker, as what was just shared, being responsible financially, not just for myself, but for my children.
And we always talking about saving money. Also, the probate part, because if you don't have your papers in order, or your affairs in order, it's going through probate.
Yes.
And there are fees. I've heard people say up to 30% attached to probate. So that's 30% or up to 30% that your children will not inherit. So getting your affairs in order will make a smooth transition.
My grandmother would always say, we got to go to the hill and make a payment on my burial. I got to make a payment on my burial. She said that over and over and over. And when she died, everything was all set up, ready to go.
Do you know that's a lot of what we don't do?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know a friend who owns a funeral home.
Yeah.
And he said we do not take care of that. And it's nothing wrong with doing what your grandmother did.
My grandmother did it. Now my mom, she'll say, that's where I have my, she's picking out a coffin. Everything is done. Everything's signed, ready to go. I got to get with you guys, let you all know where the paperwork is. It's in the house, and we have this CNA. The guy comes over, and we have everything in the trust, and she has everything in order.
They're in order.
I mean, we don't have to really think to do a lot because she has everything in order. So, talking about awareness, I'll probably be doing that too because my grandmother did it, my mom did it, and I would certainly not want my children to be fussing and fighting over the millions that I'm going to
So I want to raise a point about us having our affairs in order and the whole probate process and inheritance, because when we hear the word inheritance, most people automatically think that means you have a policy that's worth X amount of dollars, and it can mean that, but some people feel like they don't have to do this process that we're talking about because they don't have a certain amount of money. So can you explain that this is important for everyone and why, even if it's not what they consider to be a large sum of money?
Well, a will, trust, power of attorney is very important due to the fact, once again, it's a roadmap. And it'll make their job easier, like your mom and grandmother's making you, or maybe your grandmother made you all's job easy. But how can I put it easily? Probate, okay. If you're going through probate, once again, you're going to pay. Okay. She said the word trust. I don't know if anybody caught that word.
Yes.
Once you get your affairs in a trust, it is in the trust of Gregory Reid.
Right.
So therefore, you have an executor over that trust that handles everything. So it's just the fact that you must do it. Because if you don't have a lot of money, I'm gonna get to that. If you have a car, somebody's gonna argue or fight over that car.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to see. Yes, thank you. That's what I'm.
So it doesn't have to be about money.
It doesn't have, and that's the point I wanted us to bring out. But it almost sounds like the less money you have, the more you need this in place.
Because honestly, you may have some wishes in your untimely death. I want to be buried here. I want this person to take care of this. And I want this person to take, because it may, your significant other may not be the person to take care of your affairs.
That's right.
God forbid something happens to you. And even with the medical power of attorney, because a lot of people forget about that as well. You need a medical power of attorney.
Exactly.
Because if you become incapacitated and cannot make any wishes, cannot speak or do anything on your behalf, who would you want to take care of that? So it's more so a blueprint of helping you and your family. It doesn't necessarily have to be about finances.
Yes.
Just call it a roadmap.
It may be some things that
Yes.
are sentimental to you that you want certain family members to have. So that's what that's about. Now the money is all a plus.
Yes.
Don't get it wrong now. The money is a plus.
Thank
But you
y'all
definitely
for
want that roadmap.
clarifying that, because I just feel like a lot of people think just one-dimensional
Yes.
when it comes to that.
You remember the Diary of a Black Woman, and when the guy was in the hospital, this girl said, should we keep him or should we, and they were arguing over that. It's like, but you're not the wife. But,
Exactly.
just like you said, somebody might not have the same interest in the person as the other person does. So it's important. Everything needs to be in writing.
And everything starts back to education in the youth.
Yes.
See, with our company, we
Yes.
have a portion, a nonprofit called YFL, Youth Financial Literacy. And every year, when we hear some of the kids and what they learned during the course of the period of them having this program, they said they learned. Well, last year we had a senior. She said she learned more within that short period of contest time than she did in her whole 12 years.
I believe it.
We don't
Of
teach
education.
it. It's not a part of the curriculum.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do, because we know and understand it starts with the youth.
It does.
And the youth financial literacy is strong. We give scholarship monies and things like that with our company.
It's great. Great.
So Valencia, we didn't talk a lot about your business, and I want to give you an opportunity to share what are some of the services that you offer through CRAM Academy.
Okay, so we have several services. We offer professional development for teachers. That's where some of our elementary teachers are not as strong as they would like to be in math. So we would go in and give them strategies of how they can utilize our strategies to help the students get, move along further. We also we provide math support. That means, sometimes when you're teaching people, they'll say, oh, put your money where your mouth is. Can you do that? Because, it's like, oh, yeah. We said, but you don't know our children. So, of course, we go into the classes and make it happen.
By actually co-teaching with the teachers or teaching for the teachers, right?
When I go in, I'll just teach that lesson. If you tell me that the children are having a hard time with, let's say, finding the circumference of a circle, we have this activity called running circles around math. And it's just a high energetic lesson, and after it's all over, we play real hard ball in the classroom. When we say hard ball, you can't make any mistakes. One little mistake and get the whole thing thrown out. But the kids are so eager, especially when we have a formative assessment. It's called, we just use a T, and a T means try again. So I'm around saying, okay, I'm ready to grade somebody, so to get a T, the kid's like, what did I do wrong? And I'll say, well, just look at it. And they'll get back in, do it again. And so every round go higher and higher. And then at the end of the end of that class period, you'll find several kids making mistakes, and then you'll find all of them doing real well, because all of them want to stay energized and want to do well. Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So y'all, before we close out today's show, I want to share with you, and again, as I stated at the top of the show, I made the comment about divine connections, and so there's absolutely no way my guests could have known, because I didn't share this with them. And we talked about preparing your families and untimely deaths and having your paperwork in order. And some of you know, because you follow me personally, that back in March, my mom and I lost my brother suddenly. He was only 42 years old, and his paperwork was not in order. Yeah. And so that was something that my husband, my mother, and I had to figure out, and you have to figure that out quickly. And that's not a position that you want to be in when you really should just be grieving or celebrating or whatever it is that you do, the loss of your loved one. But tomorrow is my brother's birthday, so if he were here with us, he would be turning 43 years old. And I just wanted to take a moment to just recognize his life and the legacy that he left behind. So I have a video that I want to share with you. My brother was an avid wrestling fan, and apparently he had a role in the wrestling community where everybody knew him, and he never missed an event. And so when they heard about his passing, they did a tribute to him at an event where he actually had purchased tickets and was supposed to be there. It was a Saturday night event, and he passed away on a Thursday. So I just want to share that video with you all so that you can just get a sense of the kind of person that he was and the legacy that he left. And so that will roll in just a moment. You gotta click it. Oh, sorry y'all, video on the way. That's it, I think. No? Y'all bear with me while I get that link over to my producer. And while we are getting her the video link, I will go ahead with some other announcements. First, I would like to say a huge congratulations to my mentor, Dr. Chika Akua, on his new appointment as assistant professor at Clark Atlanta University.
Yes.
So way to go, Dr. Akua. We are so proud of you.
Congratulations, Doc.
Yes. Another announcement. For those of you who joined me last Sunday, we were here celebrating the release of my book, Chronicles of the Chronically Ill. I'm happy to say that we are still holding #1 in a couple of categories on Amazon. So thank you to everyone who has supported the project, and thank you to all of you who are planning on supporting the project. You can still get that. You can jump over to my website, drmarquitablades.com, and order Chronicles, as well as I have another book coming out next month. It is called The Mediocre Teacher Project. It is also an anthology. So I joined up with 6 other educators, and we decided to share some of those stories about the highs and lows of teaching, and how when you hit that point in your career where you're questioning whether or not you should even be doing it anymore, you know, how do you get past that, and how do you rediscover your passion for teaching? And so that book will be out next month, but you can pre-order that on my website as well. Y'all, I'm still looking for the video link, so if we don't get it up, I want to encourage everyone to just come back to this broadcast. I will put the link in the comments. It's definitely worth you watching, and I just wanted to take that moment to, again, recognize the life and the legacy of my brother, Dwayne Smith, and we'll be celebrating his birthday tomorrow as well. Also, we lost another icon this week, Aretha Franklin, so I wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge all that she has done to contribute to the movement of all people. So we recognize that as well. And finally, if you want to connect with any of my guests, they are going to take a moment now to share with you how you can get in touch with them. So we'll start with you, Cortland.
Sure. My website is cortlandjones.com. You can email me at info@cortlandjones.com. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram.
All right. Thank you, Cortland. Ms. Thornton?
Our website is www.cramacademy.com. And I am on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram and Twitter. And you can reach me for my email address is cramacademy@yahoo.com. All
right. Gregory?
Yes, you can reach me on Facebook at Gregory Reid, Instagram greid1911. I have a business telephone line, which is 678-561-7254. Or you can just stop by one of my locations, 6030 Highway 85, Suite 210, Riverdale, Georgia, or 231A South 10th Street, Griffin, Georgia, 30224.
Griffin, Georgia, where I was born and raised.
Okay. Terrance Smalls, I'm on Facebook as Terrance TK Smalls. Also Instagram, Terrance K Smalls. And I like to talk to people personally, so I can give out my personal cell phone number, which is 678-779-0533. Or you can email me at goodcreditpro@gmail.com.
Okay, all right, thanks. So I believe I have the link, and I'm going to forward that now. So if you guys just hang tight. Actually, I have 2 more minutes, so y'all should not be dropping off of this broadcast. I am going to forward this link so that it can be shared. Well, of course, now it's, okay, here we go. All righty. Messenger. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and participated and gave us your comments and added so much to the conversation. Okay, well, apparently it shows on my screen. I'm not sure why it's not going through. So y'all come back to the video. The link will be in the comments. I would love for you all just to watch it as a source of inspiration and just as a reminder that we never know what impact we have on people as we're living our lives daily, but sometimes we have a greater impact than what we can even imagine, and that was the point that I wanted to convey in showing you all that video. Well, that is our time for today. I want to thank all of my guests for just being so open and sharing so much great information. Y'all can join me back here on September 2nd, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This has been the Dr. Marquita Blaze Show on Live TV at Status Network, the future of broadcasting. I'll see you next time.